Back. Just go around, we're going to take a look at a game that I love to hate. And not trying to really bash the game per se, but the thing is that it's one of those games that I felt was a step back in the Neo Geo's library, considering of all the type of dynamic shooters that are on the system, and that, you know, not necessarily that we're necessarily on the Super Soap, but let's say the R-Types, the Gradiuses, etc. The thing is that this kind of takes a back seat, tries to go a little bit of old school, but in the same time it kind of fails. This game came out in 1994, it's rated 110 megs, and it's made by a developer NMK. I've never heard of them before, so God knows what the hell they're doing now. But basically, it's your standard ship shooter, spaceship shooter, where you have your shot, you have a bomb, and the plot revolves around a supercomputer taking over the world. 3 pilots go into action to go and battle this menace. It's cliche as shit, but it does its thing. Alright, so let's just get into the game, shall we? As a game on a whole, you'll see a lot of people who are really on the fence about this game. The thing is that this game could have been outstanding if a bit more would have gone into it, but it just comes across very bland. The animation in the game is really subpar for a Neo Geo shooter, considering Last Resort, you know, Blazing Star, etc. Even those, you know, even Gradius and all those other type of games, you know, Life Force, etc. on, you know, the Genesis or the Mega Drive or the Super Nintendo. This comes at a time where this took a really step back. I think they were trying to go for the real old school type of game and all, but there's nothing wrong with that, but at least add a new dimension or something to the game that would separate itself from the rest of the genre, which is pretty crowded at the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, the fighting game was kind of like Spark too, but the shmup genre definitely had its fill of shooters. The thing is that the spaceship in itself is okay. It's animated fairly well. I think it'd be too large because it's making you a bigger target on the screen. So that's just my opinion. The backgrounds, as you see, they look very Genesis-y, maybe Super Nintendo-ish. Or maybe even, I wouldn't say go Nintendo, but maybe this could be done, let's say maybe on, maybe a TurboGrafx at the time. Like, that would have been understandable for me, but not for a Neo Geo. See, I expect a different type of standard for the Neo Geo. I mean, it's a fast-moving shooter. It does have slowdown here and there, but really the only thing that keeps this game from having anything kind of special to it, to be honest with you, is the soundtrack. If you listen to the soundtrack, it really is up for the times. You know, that whole CNC Music Factory, Marky Mark bullshit. That's where I think this game really shines. It's just that the music, if you like this type of genre, I guess it would be kind of like that techno, freestyle type of music, you'll really enjoy the game, because the point is that it's very fast-moving music. It gets you pumped. So I think it's really fitting, actually, for the game. Because a lot of times games trying to incorporate certain type of music, and it just doesn't actually fit the mood and all. This game actually does fit the mood, which is true. But the thing is that I wish the gameplay and the options and things of that nature would have been up to par with it. Then it would have made this game a lot more, you know, enjoyable. But it just makes it really subpar. Like, look at the scrolling in the background. I don't know if you can actually see like the gradations in the scrolling. It looks just too choppy, and it looks like they were really new to the hardware. Maybe there were some really beginner programmers. I don't know. I can't say that for sure because I'm not that familiar with the company. but the thing is, it looks very, you know, old school, and I don't know if that's the approach they were going for. That's the only thing that's kind of eludes me as to why they were going for that shit. The thing is that I'm not saying necessarily all of it's bad, because it could take homage to those old school elements, but the game itself is just very uninteresting, and it leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to certain things. And like I said, when I've mentioned Gradius, Life Force, and those other titles, this just does not keep up with the caliber of those series. And in 1994, it should have. So in all reality, there's no excuse. But, I mean, the thing is that there are people who really enjoy the game, because I guess it has that element of old school. So, I mean, but personally, the only thing I can see that's really anything about this game is just the soundtrack. It never made it to the AES, so it basically kind of stayed in the arcade. And probably for right reasons, because SNK probably realized that the game itself wasn't up to their usual high standard, and that's where it stayed. So, in that sense, I guess they made the right move. But if you're a fan of the shmup genre, and you don't care about certain features, or you just want to look at something that attempts to be an old school shooter, but trying to give a little bit more of a twist on it, then go ahead, check it out. But if you're a real diehard shmup fan, and you're looking for an exciting new type of game, or something that's, you know, it's different, then you're not going to get it here. I mean, in all honesty, and it's not saying because I'm not a big fighting shooter fan. It's because the thing is that there's nothing here that really attracts you to the game. I mean, you're seeing it in action as we speak. I mean, don't get me wrong and all, it's fast moving, it's got some nice pace to it, and a nice soundtrack, but that to me wouldn't keep most people's attention for very long. You can see that boss was destroyed in no time. My recommendation is, unless you're a die-hard shmup fan and you're looking to get like Neo Geo, like old shooters for the system, and of course you're going to be pretty interested in this game. But if you're looking for something that's going to, you know, touch you in a very special place, this is not going to be that game. So my thing is, move on. If you want to give it a go on main, shit, then go for it. But to me, it's not worth purchasing even for the MVS, because the MVS version of this is actually pretty expensive, because since it was a limited release to just the arcades, it can run you a pretty hefty price. You know, I got mine about maybe a year or so ago from a seller in my state, so I was actually pretty lucky. It was actually a Japanese copy, and it's actually in the rental format, so which is pretty neat. But other than that, if it's only for really collectors and die-hard shooters, yeah, it's one of them things you're just going to have to basically avoid. That's the only thing I can actually tell you. If you enjoy it, more power to you, but to me, it's not a recommendation that I could actually give. Alright, then I'm going to leave you with a little bit more gameplay, and yeah, then, till the next time, take care. Alright then, that's enough. Take care.